Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Steve Stockton from Missing Persons Mysteries again. You have found your way into the darkness of the Fox Den for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy. You and I have very important things to attend to, yet I have been sleeping for so long and really do need to feed. Absolutely delicious. A little bit more messy than I preferred, yet no worries. We can clean up the body parts later. Without further ado, it is time for Mr. Stockton and myself to take a walk into the madness.
Stood up. I said, oh my god, it's a werewolf. And everybody in the car freaked out.
My creatures of the night. Once again, it is Midnight Lycanthropy time, and you are tuning in to LordeStarfox Radio. Steve Stockton from Missing Persons Mysteries and many other epic podcasts has again found his way into the darkness of the Fox Den and has set up the late night fire for us so that we can burn the timber into the early hours of the morning and figure out what is happening in the Midnight Society book. Steve, my guy, how the heck you been?
Doing good. Glad that it's the spring is seems to be almost here in my part of Massachusetts. 50 degrees and rain right now, but just a few days ago it was down in the single digits overnight. And that just ain't for me anymore.
I'm with you on that, my friend, as I was being a little crybaby about before we started recording, because it is self-inflicted. I was watching my friend's dog and cat, and they don't live that far away from me. It's honestly probably not even a 10-minute walk. I just throw on a hoodie, right, my little winter hat, and like shorts. I make it halfway there. Yeah, no, this is really cold. Get inside. Think everything's fine, I'll make it back. No, about halfway back, you're like, yeah, this really sucks. So.
Yep. And I don't know. I used to like cold weather camping and stuff like that. I woke up in the Smokies in a tent, and look out to a half foot of new snow and things like that. But now I wouldn't give you a dime for it. I do my camping in a resort now.
Right. Seriously, and I would hope after all the topics of missing people you've been covering and things we covered here, well, I would not personally ever want to sleep in a tent or be isolated out in the middle of the forest. Being a imagination-based individual, I just always in my head see the scene from Dog Soldiers where it could easily rip the tent off, but it decides to just slowly unzip it.
Yeah. I just my days of doing that kind of hiking and long distance camping and stuff are not for me anymore. I just heard too many horror stories, covered too many cases of not just regular missing people, but some strange ones too. There's a supernatural element to some of these disappearances, and there's all kinds of stuff out there in the woods that you don't want to run into, normal and paranormal.
Yes, is that not the truth? Sometime I'll have to send you the link. As I've always stated, I've never had any sort of paranormal interactions, but I have had two nightmare fuel based interactions with potentially really screwed up human beings. As you stated, you never really know what you're going to deal with on a daily basis. But if you're going to go out camping and such, you really do got to make sure you have ways to protect yourself, whether it's from a known predator, something unknown, or psychotic humans.
Yeah, indeed. Good advice.
It's just truthful, unfortunately, because I think a lot of people don't realize when you go to the forest, especially secluded areas, unfortunately, in a perfect world, it would just be awesome people that want to get away and explore nature. It's just not the way things work.
Unfortunately, there's some people out there doing some evil thing. I mean, look at somebody like Israel Keys that used
Hmm.
those parks as a hunting ground. That was his playground for taking humans. There's natural predators, and then there's human predators out there too. So and just the elements. Mother Nature is a cruel mistress, so you got to know what you're doing. And I've covered a lot of cases where the reason they went missing was they were overconfident and ill prepared, and that's a dangerous combination.
Is that not the truth? Preach. I'm a huge fan of Cody Lundeen. I don't know if you've ever seen Dual Survival. He's the guy that walks around bare feet all the time. Obviously, I'm up here in New England. I try to be barefoot as much as possible. I enjoy it, but I do wear 5 finger toe shoes, which is as close as you can get to being barefoot. But obviously, we're in New England. It's cold. Let's be real. I've seen some places where even I have shoes on them, but I want to burn them after that I would never walk barefoot in.
Yeah, that's me. I've known people that would walk barefoot in New York City. I wouldn't do that either, but I certainly wouldn't go barefoot out in the woods. There's too much that can stick to you and get on you, and things that you don't want. I mean, look at what happened to those guys in Vietnam that ended up with jungle rot and things like that. If you're on the trail for a considerable amount of time, there's degradation that can happen to your skin, especially your feet, and you travel on your feet. I mean, your feet are what you're dependent on, so you better take good care of your feet.
Preach it again. Is that not the truth? What have you been up to in general, though? Anything new besides the podcast and grinding away with the kiddo and the wife, or you been diving into any sort of dogman or werewolf type aspects lately?
I love it all, and I just gonna keep a running thing there. I listen to videos and podcasts at night when I'm going to sleep. I used to suffer from insomnia before I became a dad, and now it's just the opposite. I'm up a lot of late nights and 2 a.m. feedings and stuff like that. But I always love the Dogman and the werewolf tales and any kind of cryptids. So I think there's stuff out there. There's things that we don't understand, whether it's something paranormal or just something that we haven't discovered and verified yet through scientific means. There's stuff out there. And yeah, other than that, getting ready to move. I'm moving from where I'm at here, about a half hour south towards Connecticut into Sturbridge, home of Old Sturbridge Village. I'm looking forward to that. I hope to be telling stories down there for them this October. But moving from a town of probably close to 250,000 to about less than 10,000.
Wow. Great stuff right there. Staying busy as always. I would only expect that. At some point, I have a ton of family down in Massachusetts that used to be my stomping ground, Boston. I'm up here in Maine now. I'll have to at some point when I get down there, maybe link
Yeah.
up with you
Yeah,
and do.
I'd like to see some more stuff here. And I haven't even been to Boston yet, but had plans to do all that, and then the baby came along and changed everything. He's 6 months old today, by the way. The date of this recording, he turned 6 months at 4:31 p.m. Half a year old. Happy birthday, Holden. Happy
That's
birthday.
awesome right there. Let's go. To the audience, yes, Steve has been amping his kiddo's brain up with some great, well, baby genius knowledge. You're going to have another legendary individual developing here.
That's the idea. I don't talk baby talk to him, and I don't read too many nursery rhymes and things, a little bit of stuff like that. But I read just regular fiction and things to him, that I'd like for him to have the vocabulary that I had. And that was because my dad read adult books to me, or not, adult, but grown-up books. And
Yes.
by the time I started school, I was head and shoulders above my class. I was reading on a fifth and sixth grade level when I was in first and second grade. So it's a good
That's
skill to possess.
Yes, beautiful stuff right there. That reminds me of all my nieces. They're so smart. One of my nieces, she can speak Taiwanese, some Mandarin Chinese, and also English. Absolutely epic because my sister-in-law is from Taiwan. So it's always amazing to see how
Yeah.
much
And
little.
that's the time to teach them is when they're little like that. They can pick it up real quick.
Why is that, do you think?
I don't know. Just you're just learning to speak English. I guess it's easy to learn other languages when you do that. Right now, his favorite YouTube channel is a lady called Miss Rachel that has a channel for kids and babies, and she teaches them ASL, American Sign Language, in addition to. She started out. She had a son that had speech difficulties, so she developed this curriculum and then took it to YouTube, and now she's got millions of subscribers and a Netflix deal, and they have toys over at Walmart and everything else. And I love to see a success story like that when it helps kids.
Yes, that is absolutely.
Sorry, I've strayed from the trail here.
No, this is all great stuff because it falls into line just in general with knowledge, and I'm all about knowledge, trying to learn things daily, better yourself. Why also do you think it is that children can do things quicker per se than you and I? I mean, a lot of people would say you and I are intelligent, or so I'm told, right? Why is it a
I've been accused.
yes, why is it a child can not potentially outsmart us because they can't, but they can pick up something quicker than we can, which is actually a form of intelligence, though.
Yeah, they don't have that suspension of disbelief that a lot of adults have, and they're very quizzical, inquisitive, and it hasn't been, especially with the paranormal and supernatural things like that, it hasn't been beaten out of them, or bad choice of words, they're educated out of them. And told, I remember going, I heard a story. Somebody told me they went to the library and asked the librarian where the books of true ghost stories are. And the librarian looked down her nose and over her glass and said, there are no true ghost stories. So, you hear that growing, and this kind of just hammered into you. But when you're little, you're open to viewing more and believing more. And I think that's why kids have a lot more paranormal experiences than adults do.
The reason I asked that is this next statement, but first off, beautiful stuff right there as well. I was listening to some really brilliant minds speak about how, yes, children just obviously are in a developmental stage where they just process things differently. And like you just hit it on point with seeing the paranormal or seeing potentially cryptids, etc. Because when, per se, the example that you used, you and I go to a funeral, or younger children go to the funeral, they're still more apt to maybe see the spirits around that you and I aren't. There's a lot of analytics and evidence to support that. Why are these children that are still really young saying uncle or so and so and having conversations? Yes, I understand children sometimes make up imaginary friends, but that's not every child.
Yeah. And again, I don't think they've been told that they can't, and so they do. But yeah, kids are quick. Back in the dark ages, back in the 80s, not only was I a fledgling comedian, but I also did a magic act, a comedy magic act. And one of the things I did was kids' parties, like birthday parties for little kids. And you talk about a tough audience. You get an audience full of kids. They're trying to figure out every trick. Where the adults are polite, they'll sit there. They may not know exactly how you do it, but they know it's magic, and there's some misdirection and sleight of hand. But a kid will be like, I saw that. You had that in your hand, or it's in your pocket, or, they would call you out on it. So it was, if you wanted to sweat as a magician, put on kids' birthday parties. They don't miss it.
Excellent stuff right there. That's so true because it's something I think that helps with myself being creative. And also, I tell anyone, just don't even acknowledge your age and don't lose the child inside of yourself because
Yeah.
children actually have it correct about, just
Stay in touch with your inner child.
Yes, get mud on yourself, laugh, just have a good time and things, and don't take everything so serious, as the Joker would say. Why so
That's the
serious?
secret to life.
Yes, 1000. We are going to head up to Maine, my area, the stomping grounds. But before, we're going to take a little pit stop in good old Wisconsin. To the audience, you must know because, yes, you have been watching the videos. Steve has been very busy, and I don't know if I've had a chance to tell him this real quick. I have had two new hosts, excellent guests, friends of mine that I've been linking up with from Wisconsin that are directly in Elkhorn and on Bray Road. Beautiful stuff, creepy as heck. So many footprints and things we've been able to now air and dive into. And I just wanted to update everybody in the audience that we got so much more coming. I wanted to tell Steve. I got one more thing I'm pretty excited about. Travis Taylor, yes, an astrophysicist that has worked for NASA, also done a ton of work on Skinwalker Ranch, has been speaking to me via Facebook, and I am really trying to close the deal to get him to come hang out with us over here on Midnight Lycanthropy. Just some really great stuff, and I appreciate everybody, the support I get for sure.
Yeah, good catch there. I love Skinwalker Ranch. I've covered that. Definitely some strange stuff going on there.
Right. And who else to bring some clarity than Travis, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he is really scientific based, but also firsthand experiences. He's open minded, has even said himself he can't fully logically explain things that have occurred.
Yeah. And that's the thing is be skeptical, but keep an open mind to the strange, the paranormal. Sometimes there's things that just don't fit, that don't have a rational or scientific explanation, yet they happen.
Which is, again, beautiful science. It really is how things should be approached. You got to start logical, then move outside of that. It's like one of my scientists and good friends, William White, says if you're in Ohio, you hear hoofs running out back. You don't think zebra, you think horse, right?
Right.
Well, the two encounters I sent you, my friend, from the good old 207, I'm not so sure they can top the Palmyra incident. That's pretty much cemented in my eyes and many others as the ultimate OG Maine encounter. I mean, it even sits pretty well towards some of the more legendary encounters all over the globe in general. Yet the two I sent you are still pretty screwed up, I feel like.
Yeah, and I love it because it's from Stephen King country, literally. If you've read his autobiography, he talks about a lot of those places that you mentioned there, and there's some weird stuff up there, and he acknowledges that. And as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote, as Sherlock Holmes, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. And that's it's from a fictional series, but that's great detective work right there. Once you've eliminated what it's not, then whatever's left is what it is.
Reach. I do love to use supernatural. Same thing. It's a fictional show, but yet it actually really ties in quite well when they handle certain aspects or when they're following a lore, like when they go to the crossroads and bury something, etc., about selling souls, and they make reference at those old school soul music, more or less. There are a couple famous African American.
Delta Blues.
Yes, Delta Blues. There we go. That sold their souls more or less.
Robert Johnson. Yeah, it was one
Yes.
of the most famous.
Yep.
Deal with the devil at the crossroads.
Boom. And Supernatural, even though it's fictional, tells you that when you look it up, they follow the details very well for a fictional show,
Yeah, they do. There's several shows like that. X-Files from back in the day. That was another one where they
Ooh.
blurred the lines there, but there was a lot of good factual information in there about actual cases and things.
Man, that show is so creepy. I tried to go back and watch it now as an adult. Some of the things are just too outdated for me, and I don't have the most time to watch things, right? And there's so much to indulge myself into. But I will say the two most nightmare fuel dang songs that traumatized me as a child were, take a guess, The X-Files and then Unsolved Mysteries,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people say that even today they hear that Unsolved Mysteries theme
Y-
and it gives them shivers.
Yes, it's
I
so
agree.
creepy.
Robert Stack is my spirit animal.
Just as a child, though, too, I remember I couldn't get through many of them because straight up it would traumatize me. And I shouldn't say child because I was like 11, teen. Not a child, but really still creeped out by things. I mean, I'm supposed to be an adult now, and I've talked about it before. My bed, there's no way anything could hide under there, but still, I would, if it was higher, be afraid to hang my feet over or
Oh
such.
yeah, I'm the same way. I gotta have my feet covered up, and I don't like a closet door or anything that's just open a crack. Even
Yeah.
as a adult in my early 60s, there's something looking at me through that crack. I've got to get up and close it if I see it.
That's what I'm saying. And we're supposed to be quote unquote adults, and I still have like a nightlight in my room.
Yeah, yeah. I like a light on too, just in case. Well, if you have to get up, it's easy to
Just
see
enough,
something, but
yes.
uh, I would still rather know if there's something there in the dark with me. Light beats the darkness, so hopefully keeping light on will keep the darkness away, among other things.
Yes, and you being a father now, it will also keep the little toys away that I remember my parents used to flip out about when I left Legos and things on the
Oh yeah,
floor.
you step on that, it'll do a number on you. And then cribs and bassinets and things like that. I've run into those. I've figured out that that's what toes are. They're like outliers, they're outriggers for locating things in the dark because I'll inevitably slam my toe into something if I get up in the dark.
My face hurts from laughing. Do you want to first dive into the more recent one, or do you want to start with the more infamous and a little bit older one?
It's up to you. Dealer's choice there.
Well, I have the older one opened up in my phone at the moment, and we might as well go in numerological order here. Would it make sense? We
Okay.
first have 2019, 6:30 p.m. Paper Mill Trail, Lisbon, Androscoggin County. Both of these encounters are in Maine. A husband, his wife, their 11-year-old daughter, and pet St. Bernard are out for an evening walk on a remote part of a trail just south of the Big Dipper ice cream shop, which is an area that is surrounded by dense forest on both sides. I have seen this area and been there. There is some pushed back area before the denseness of the forest does come into play. Yet, if you were isolated, I can see how this did all unfold. It is an area near a decent amount of civilization, but also not, if that makes sense. Well, just as they are enjoying the ending of their evening walk at the remote part of a trail, as they are talking and enjoying the evening, their dog randomly begins acting erratically before suddenly, out of the nearby forest, the family sees a large, extremely aggressive, dark black, dog like looking creature with large pointy ears, a mane, and strange glowing eyes begins rushing towards the family. As the family is trying to comprehend what is occurring, this animal begins trying to pull away the 11-year-old daughter, screaming now at the creature to leave her child alone. The mother is beginning to intervene, only to have this strange beast turn its attention towards her, savagely begin ripping off almost her entire finger before continuing to turn back, try and take away the young girl. The father at this time was trying to intervene, yet while dealing with his dog, it was seemingly keeping him from helping out. Then this creature turned its rage on him, proceeding to attack the man. Only when another group of people begins to come down the trail did this strange beast dart off into the forest. The family was taken to Central Maine Medical Center in Lewiston to be treated for injuries. The 11-year-old daughter is being evaluated for trauma. I had a chance to, because I knew some of the nurses up there, I was able to verify that, yes, that family actually went in for that treatment. And that is the same story that they got at the hospital that was posted in the newspaper there. Yes, they are not really about talking too much about what has occurred. It traumatized their 11-year-old daughter. I guess she doesn't enjoy going outside anymore. Also, the mother had almost her entire finger gnawed off, had some damage on some of her other fingers from defensive wounds. And a St. Bernard is a pretty large dog. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are those not the same dogs that used to deliver messages around their necks?
Yeah, they carry a little barrel around their neck with things in it. The people that were lost in the Alps or the Andes, sometimes there'd be a little bottle of whiskey in there. When the dog found you, you'd warm yourself up while the rescuers were following the dog to you. But they're a big dog. That was the first thing that stood out to me. Growing up, our near neighbors, they were about a half a mile or so away. They had a Saint Bernard named Barney, and sometimes it would wander over to our house. That thing was huge. I mean, it was bigger than I was as a child. And I remember trying to play tug with it one time with a lawnmower belt. That dog drug me all over the yard. So this isn't a small dog. Now, it doesn't say the age of the St. Bernard. It might have been a puppy or something. But if it was a grown St. Bernard, those are huge. And I would love to know how the dog reacted. It said it was acting erratically, but it doesn't really mention what happens once the attack started. If
Yes, you are very correct. They don't state the size of the dog whatsoever, which is critical to what you and I are trying to figure out about it. Reason I did ask, though, I mean, if these St. Bernards, like you said, are willing to go into the mountains by themselves to look for lost people, that's a pretty fearless dog. That's a daunting task. And like you said, we don't know the age of it, but if it was an adult, wow. If it was trying to get away at frantic or acting erratically, that really solidifies that even this dog was like, no, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, even though Saint Bernard, they're formidable in size. They've got these massive jaws. They're a very faithful and loyal dog. So I can't imagine one not trying to defend its owners, its family. So that right there, that makes me think, wow, this was whatever was attacking them. It blew the dog's mind too.
So creepy, my friend. Obviously, you and I both weren't there. I have gotten as much information personally as I feel I am going to be able to get. I've
Yeah.
seen the area. Also, this other group of people coming down didn't get a really great view of what was happening. They heard a skirmish and screaming and franticness and saw something bolt off. They're not really able to verify supposedly what it was they saw. At the end of the day, I know 11-year-old's traumatized. The woman's missing a finger and missing portions of her other fingers. What happened? Could they be making this all up? Sure, but then why would the husband and wife have the same story, and why would the daughter be traumatized? If the husband had done something towards the wife, wouldn't the wife have mentioned this? If not, wouldn't the 11-year-old been like, hey, daddy attacked mom or something?
Yeah.
I mean, they said they didn't know what this was. Not that every person in Maine or anything or anywhere knows everything about animals, yet that's seemingly the same descriptions other people give across the country with dogmen and things. And as far as I know, these people had no interest in cryptids and that type of topic whatsoever.
Yeah, and then the fact that they mentioned that it had a mane, I mean that's not a normal dog attribute there.
Nope.
Um, I don't know. There's a lot of the strangeness here to this. But pointed ears, a large mane, dark black dog-like creature. Now I'm assuming it was bipedal. It doesn't really say here, but
No, they don't really specify on
yeah,
that.
more questions than answers here, but still a strange encounter.
Yes, 100. Isn't there always more questions?
Yeah.
Yet, like I said, that is what was posted in our local news outlet. And I mean, I was able to verify that through nurses and such that I know. As far as I also know, this family hasn't really spoken about it again, except for the fact that they are all traumatized, which also really solidifies something did occur to them. I mean, if they were just looking for clout or something, I don't know why you lose pieces of your body for that, and
Yeah.
also why you wouldn't be continuously telling your story like you and I had talked about. Some of the other people that are known to be hoaxers, just go on every outlet possible.
Yeah, indeed. They're definitely not doing it for attention or to sell a book or a movie script or something like that. At least that's not what it looks like from here. Now, further down the road, something else may come up, but now it looks like they're avoiding
Hmm.
attention as much as possible.
Exactly. If anything, I would be like, hey, can I have my finger back, please?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, what the heck? That must have just been traumatic as heck to deal with. Like, just how quick it must have unfolded, too, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, why didn't the husband do more? And again, I mean, you have a dog that's acting frantic. Who knows? What if you were wrapped up real quick by the dog trying to get away? You tripped and fell. This is occurring really quick. The mother is being attacked as the 11-year-old is trying to be pulled off. There's really only so much he could have done at the moment. I mean, he intervened fully as soon as he could, and then the thing started attacking him as well. I don't really know what else he really was supposed to do.
Yeah, yeah, and there's one of those things. I mean, time seems to stand still in a situation like that, and it's always easier to be a Monday or a next day armchair quarterback and say, "Well, he should have done this and he should have done that." You don't know what you would do until you're actually in that situation, and then everybody's reaction is going to be different to some degree, anyway.
I love how you said that because the other day I was talking with my science team about how you really are not supposed to act like prey when you're out in the forest. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to. You're supposed to act like, hey, I am a dominant predator just like you, Mr. Cougar. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to act as if I'm scared of you. I'm going to stand my ground. You come towards me. Yes, I'll give you space, but I'm going to scream at you. I'm going to be large and let you know this isn't going to be easy. Like you said, yes, I've seen people act just like that and are extremely successful in the situation. I've seen other people flip out. I'm assuming, again, assumptions aren't good, but people that have been unalived by animals probably did try to stand their ground like that.
Yeah, no, and a lot of it depends on the situation, the terrain, the animal itself. There's certain bears like that, and I forget which is which, but like different rules for the different types of animals, whether you try to make yourself look bigger and stand your ground, or whether you try to back away slowly. Most animals, on most predators, if you run, they're going to chase you.
Yep. It's funny you said that because I know exactly before we read this last encounter. If it's black, you fight back. If it's brown, you play unalived, like you said. If it's
Yeah, if
white,
it's brown, you
good
lay
good
down
night.
there.
Yes. And if it's white, good night, because brown bears usually like to eat things alive. Black bears don't get the biggest. Polar bears don't give a crap. You're screwed. So
Yeah, exactly.
which is not funny, but yes, there is no good way to have an interaction with a polar bear. I mean, I've seen them attack nuclear subs that come up where these two polar bears tried to open the top of it and get inside. You're like,
Yeah,
dude.
they have no fear.
Right? Usually other animals that saw this strange, 60-foot metal thing bust up from the ice might have went the other way. These things are like, nah, dude, we're
Hey, I'm going to
going in.
open that up and see if there's anything to eat in there.
Yeah, and they're huge. All right. Well, this final one, I actually used to date a girl up in Orono. It is a heck of a chug from where I'm located now in southern Maine. You go through some pretty remote areas of just highway where you would think it would be prevalently packed with people, yet certain areas it's really not. There's a ton of trees. Thought goes through your mind is, oh wow, if I break down, all there is around me are trees, cow pastures, no cell phone reception. All right. It is a cool area when you do get up to Orono itself, which is a really large college campus up here. To anybody that doesn't know, the University of Maine has a lot of excellent things to offer people. We have a really great hockey program and have put a ton of people in the NHL as well. Yet, where I ended up going was some of the dorms because, as I said, I was dating a girl up there and happened to hear about this as I was planning my trip to go see her. Kind of worked out pretty well, ironically, even though I don't necessarily believe in ironic or coincidences. Just must have meant that the universe felt I needed to know this, or, well, that's why it worked out. We have February 2022. Ooh, pretty recent. 11 p.m. The University of Maine, Orono. It was surprisingly nice this one evening, so two girls who were roommates. Yes, up here at Orono, sometimes they have more than two girls or people in a room. My girlfriend had like three other roommates. It was insane. All right. But yes, they're both best friends and students. Well, that's a positive. They have now decided to leave their dorm on campus and head towards one of their favorite trails that would lead them down to a spot near the Sandy River. Yes, certain aspects. The University of Maine is a large campus. Okay. I do not know directly the dorm layout. I don't know which dorm setup they're referring to. Yet, yes, besides the parking lot and the campus itself, there are certain areas that would be connected to pretty remote parts of the forest. Orono is, yes, heavily forested. I can definitely verify all of that for you. As these girls are approaching the area, talking to each other, enjoying the evening, they realize that the moon is shining so bright, reflecting almost picture perfectly the field across from them. To their dismay, though, a massive dog begins standing up right across in the field and stares at them. Seemingly, the girls believed it was a couple hundred yards away. Needless to say, they didn't stick around, and no longer did they take night walks around the campus.
Yeah, frightening stuff there. Put you off your walk.
What do you think about that, my friend?
That's chilling to think about, and the fact that there was two of them, so it wasn't just there is a witness. They witnessed each other, saw the same thing. So I like that verification. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff out there in the woods, and I think even in not so remote areas, there are things that come out of the remote areas into the just like in the Smokies, you have the occasional bear that'll wander down out of the mountains and come into Gatlinburg or somewhere like that. I think Dogman, Bigfoot, whatever kind of creature, they do that as well. Maybe they get curious. Maybe they're looking for something to eat. Maybe they're just looking for a thrill. Who knows? But I think sometimes they'll come into more populated areas, even though that's not their typical domain.
Very acute observations right there. Orono has a ton of students up there. There is a ton of food that is wasted. I can verify this as well. Helping my girlfriend at the time bring out trash to the dumpster. Yikes, they could make a really bad B flick about gigantic raccoons and squirrels that live in the dumpsters up there. All my squirrels around here are super chill. The damn squirrel I saw when I opened up the thing, I don't even know. It was something that, it should have came out of a nightmare. The thing needed some extra vampire fangs, and it was eating like a breakfast sandwich.
A were squirrel.
Yes.
I like the squirrels here too. I've got several squirrel and skunk and occasional possum and fox that I feed here where I live off the back porch. But I love the squirrels. But if it's big enough to you're scared of it, like I said, that's a were squirrel or a not squirrel or something.
It was huge. The reason I mentioned that is because of all the food up there. From doing research and analytics, there's a ton of references of these dogmen and Sasquatch living near forested areas that have access to dumpsters with a lot of food that is being disposed of. Well, if a Dogman is able to get his hands on these breakfast sandwiches and such that these squirrels and raccoons and getting their hands on eating nachos and all of this stuff, would they not have the same attitude per se as these animals to capitalize on it. There were two people now that had this encounter. Sure, two people could exaggerate. That's not impossible. Yet the more people that are involved in situations, the harder it is to continue a hoax. Meaning I've spoke to some people that there were 4 or 5 people that were able to verify this encounter. The details stayed the same. It's that old school quote from like Clint Eastwood movies. How many cowboys can keep a secret? One if the other two are smoked, right? The reason is the more people that are involved in things tend to have easier details that can be smudged and such. Yeah, again, these two girls claim this is what they saw. The girl I was dating at the time knew of the girls. She said that they seemed, pretty legit. Also, again, it's near a campus where I don't think people have gone missing up there, but that is pretty close quarters. And the final thing is, like I had stated with my science team and Brian Barber and such, what if these things started coming down from the north first? Meaning, like I told you before, we have cases here in Maine that predate the Michigan Dogman by almost 25 years. What if they came down into Maine first, then cut through New York and Canada, and then came down through Toronto and the Great Lakes area into Michigan and Wisconsin? There is a ton of evidence starting to point towards that this might have all began up in Canada.
Yeah, that's possible. And with the encroachment of urban, into these areas, forested areas and things, and with logging and whatnot, we're encroaching on their territory. So maybe they're going to repay the favor and come into ours. And again, I think a dumpster full of food would be an attraction for anything, a dog man or a Sasquatch or anything out there that eat, maybe even a werewolf, if it eats the regular foods or somewhat regular foods, that'd be, like you said, a dumpster full of nachos and breakfast sandwiches would probably look pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. Again, I know it sounds humorous, yet it's just common, really sense to an extent. You and I go to a grocery store, correct? I mean, by definition, we should be hunter and gatherers. Yeah, I don't know about you. I love the earth and trees and all that stuff and animals, but I don't really want to walk 20 miles in a day just to go get some nuts and kale and then walk back to, cook this all up. What do? We go to the grocery store. All right. Same thing now with dumpsters or farmsteads. Animals are smart. Why does this wolf per se, or dogman, or baboons, or hyenas, whatever we want to roll around with, want to have to chase down this elk for 15, 20 minutes, or maybe even longer, track it, expel all this energy, when it can just go to this dumpster? And humans are wasteful, especially college students. I mean, I know my girlfriend was. She wouldn't even eat because you'd get like a food card, all right, and it would be paid for with how much you can have. They'd pay basically per semester or something. You can just get whatever you want. So I'd go in there, I'd go ham. I'd be like piling my stuff up. And
Yeah.
she would put stuff on too, but would just take a couple bites and then like throw it out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't see why, again, they wouldn't come to the dumpster to get free food or just hop over into somebody's goat pen and just grab a goat that's just going to sit there and go, nay, again, right?
Yeah, indeed. It's easy. I mean, that's humans have done the same thing. There was a guy, Rudolph. He was hiding out in Nantahala National Forest. He was on top of the most wanted list at the time. And this was a guy with no real outdoors experience. I mean, he had been in the military, so he had a little bit of survival training, but just whatever you get in boot camp. I think he washed out in there. And that was how he got caught. He'd been in the forest for 5 years, but he was coming out in a little town in North Carolina and get day old pastries out of the dumpster of this little convenience store. And that's how he got nabbed. So if he'd continued the hunter gatherer thing, he would have gotten away with it for longer. But it's just there's an attraction to easy food, even if you are a hunter gatherer and you know what you're doing. And I imagine it's the same for an animal. Coyotes, they're going to come to the chicken farm instead of trying to catch something out in the woods.
Preach. Path of least resistance. Correct, my friend? It only makes sense. It's no different than Well, you and I or anything else, there's only so much energy that you can expel. Then you need to replenish that energy. And it's a big, massive cycle. Great stuff, though. Yeah,
Yeah.
you are a legendary guy, my friend. Is there anything else you'd like to touch base on before we
I think
look in?
that's it this evening. The two very, very interesting cases from the state of Maine. You always bring the fire. So that I like those. And just doing a cursory search here, I haven't been able to find any students that have gone missing from UMaine in Orono. There was somebody that was missing for a while, several years ago, but they did find him wandering in the river, or around by the river, dazed, but it was part of a fraternity prank or initiation or something. He got disoriented, so he wandered for about 8 hours by the river. But as far as actual missing people, I just a cursory look. I don't see any from there.
Wow. All right. Yeah, that's good to know. I mean, makes people sleep a little bit
Yeah.
easier at night. Actually, real quick, you just sparked something in my brain. Since you were covering the smiley face unalivers, I do know maybe 10, 15 years ago, it was something that was floating around our communities. It might be what you were just referring to, that this kid ended up supposedly not being found. Last time he was seen, he ended up walking down this railroad track, but in the wrong direction. They don't know if he slipped and fell and ended up going down into the lake or the ice below, but he was never seen from again, I believe.
Wow. Yeah, there's all kinds of strange things that can happen. Some not so strange. Here, where I'm at, had a student go missing from Holy Cross University. They found him in the library. Eventually, he just kind of
Huh.
forgotten the time, and I think got locked in overnight or something like that. Just lay down and went to sleep. Which that's probably what I'd do. But
Right.
anything can happen. But yeah, there's uh, yeah, again, I'm looking. I made a video recently of people that are missing in Maine, and I got the information off the state police website. And
Hell yeah.
there's like Northport, Bucksport, Greenville, Washington, Bingham, Franklin, Kennebunk. There's a couple, Bangor. There's one in Lewiston here, but some of these are more than a decade old. So
Hmm.
people can and do go missing from anywhere, but I wouldn't think, based on the evidence that I've seen so far, that there's any kind of predator stalking students there, at least not a cryptid one anyway.
Excellent research by you. I wouldn't expect anything less, my friend. Also, that kind of, as we are tying this up, solidifies how we don't necessarily think they are potentially maybe as nefarious as people label them, more opportunistic, meaning if it was just this savage beast of the night, it would definitely have tried to take some college students by now, but seemingly it's probably pretty content with eating out of dumpsters and stuff,
Yeah,
you know?
seriously. The people probably don't taste that good compared to nachos and breakfast sandwiches. Plus,
Right.
that's already cooked if you like your meal cooked.
That's what I know it sounds humorous, but honestly, that really
Yeah,
seems to
I'm
start
kind of
making
making light of a serious situation there, but I think there's some truth in that as well. Would you rather eat a raw steak or a bloody steak or one that's been cooked properly or to your liking?
and just easy. You just open the
Yeah,
dumpster. There is no chasing. There's no other
yeah.
people coming after
No
you,
chasing, no
shooting at you.
stalking, no hunting it down, no worried about, somebody fighting back or sicking a
Nope.
dog on you or something. Just flip the lid and help yourself.
Yes, just sit there and wait until the cafeteria comes out with all the food that they're just gonna dump in there, and then you're gonna have a fiesta. So great stuff. Well, to the audience, yes, we do need to allow Mr. Stockton to get back to things he needs to attend to. This will be the conclusion of the meeting for the Midnight Society in the early hours of the morning. No worries, though. Go to the description of the video, click on the links, and head over to Steve's page if you aren't already subscribed. You can catch up on all the legendary things he is churning out. Also, check out our playlist. Steve is a bi-weekly host. We have a ton of content we've already created and so much more that will be coming out. And be aware for the facts. And thanks for hanging out with us tonight, Steve.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Star Fox. I always have a good time here on your show.
Ooh, my creatures of the night, I do adore every single one of you. And thank you for hanging out with us again tonight. Please like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm the facts, and we will catch you very soon.